As we get ready to open the Zach House, my pastor asked me to make a slideshow to tell the story of Dying to Live Ministries. As I sat and thought, I asked myself, how in the world can I tell this story? The truth is, this story can only be described in one word: God. On September 26th, I met God, and that is the day that my life was forever changed. He was everything that I'd been looking for. He filled that empty hole that was inside of me, the one that I'd been trying to fill with drugs, alcohol, and men. That's the day that I fell in love with Jesus. And all I know to tell you is, He gave His life to me, so I gave my life to Him. I knew immediately that I wanted to do something. I wanted everyone to meet Him. What had happened to me was so miraculous and amazing, I wanted every drug addict to know about it. My pastor and First Lady began to pour into my life. 1 year and 9 months later, Dying to Live Ministries was birthed. I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew is what God had done in my life. All I had was my testimony. There was only 3 of us there in the beginning, and it stayed that way for a long time. Most people would have given up. But I knew this was a God thing, and I kept having a meeting every single week. Then one day I got a phone call from a member of our church. She needed help, so we got our 4th. And slowly we grew to 6. Before long we had 10 people, and I was just ecstatic. As time passed, the ministry began to get into our community, and God's favor became very evident. We started working with the MDOC. Then some of the judges began to take notice. They started sending us people. We were up to 20 people. Before long, I had a very excited and faithful ministry team that was made up of addicts who had come through the ministry. God had transformed their lives just as He had mine. Things began to happen. We started having 2 meetings a week. Then we broke off into gender groups. We started a much-needed youth department. More and more people were coming. One day a young man came into our ministry named Zach Ainsworth. He was getting his life together and God was doing great things. But October 2007, he was killed in a tragic car accident, and we decided it's time to do more. That's when the Zach Project was launched. God was expanding our vision. We're going to open an in-house recovery center for women, so fundraising began. This was a milestone for Dying to Live Ministries. More and more people started coming, and the ministry continued to grow. As time passed, I became dissatisfied with the faith-based recovery material that we were using. So God started showing me something in Acts chapter 12, and I wrote a book. It's called Peter's Freedom Walk. That led me to write a second book called Joshua, The Journey from Captivity to Anointing. Over the years, I had tried on numerous occasions to get into the jail to start a ministry, but the door just wouldn't open. So I gave up. Then one day I walked over to one of my leaders and said, "It's time." The very next day, we walked through the doors of the Jones County Jail and began a ministry. As the ministry grew, my team grew, and we began to see more and more needs. One day we started a ministry for people who had a problem overeating and have strongholds with food. It's called Destined to Lose. Then we realized the families of the addicts needed ministry. We need to all join together and be on the same page, so that is how Restored Family Ministry began. We have a men's, women's, youth, jail, food, and family ministry. Dying to Live is just exploding. Wasn't long after that, Anger and Anxiety Management class was born. This has become one of our largest groups. Judges from all over were sending us people, and a judge in the neighboring county started sending people over to us, and this miraculously led to a meeting in the Jasper County Courthouse. Each week we have the opportunity to minister to the inmates in that county. It's awesome. We've recently began a dance ministry. We've been blessed with a young lady who was harvested from the jail ministry. She has a passion for worship, and she's leading this ministry. As I look back over the last 6 years, I can only tell you one thing for certain. God built this ministry. I'm just blessed to have been a part of the process. It's amazing to look around this ministry and see the miracles, the broken people who came in, and now they are ministers and leaders. Each one in love with God, each one dedicated to build His kingdom. What an amazing experience to watch God's hand work in people's lives. to see Him save them, set them free, and make them mighty men and women of God. How do I tell this story? All I know to say to you is God.